Yes, mate, how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel. With yet another international break upon us, now is the perfect time for managers who still have their wildcard chip to put it to good use and activate that bad boy. By assessing fixtures and using data, I have made a Game Week 12 wildcard draft team, and just a heads up, it does not include Haaland. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe down below and let me know in the comments if you're planning to wildcard. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Be strong.
Right, mates, first of all, why should you use your wildcard in Game Week 12? First of all, it's the international break. This gives you time to think and actually plan. Use websites like FPL.team that allow you to plan transfers and move things around your team that are actually affecting your official FPL team. You can catch regular price rises, which affects your team value. Use websites like Fantasy Football Hub or Fantasy Football Fix to track and price rises and price changes. You can correct any mistakes or bad picks or any players that are injured or unavailable through suspension. You can focus on players with a good fixture swing, so looking at the likes of Chelsea and moving off players that have got bad fixtures coming up. And you get to carry over those free transfers, so you almost feel like one step ahead of the rest of the competition. We do get a new wild card around game week 19 or so, so it's better to kind of play it relatively soon in preparation for that, otherwise you lose it. So now feels like a great time to use it, capitalize on those price changes, and try and get in those good players and target those fixture swings. Up next, we've got the fixtures from game week 12 to game week 17 for every single team in the league. Teams that have got a star next to the name are teams that I think you should be looking to bring players in for that team. You should be targeting players and try and bring in as many of those players from those teams as you can. The ones with the thumb down, I'd avoid them probably for the most part. It's mainly the newly promoted teams with the likes of Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton. I put West Ham in there as well because I don't really know what's going on. I don't really like a lot of the players. I don't like a lot of the picks. Like, there's some kind of situations where you might want to bring the odd one or two from West Ham, but like for the most part, I don't like them as picks at all. In terms of players that I think you can target or teams you can target players from, Arsenal are always a great shout, and they've got a good run now up to about game week 20 or so. I think Brighton have got a really good, nice run starting now. They've got a lot of cheap players and a lot of players that I think could be really great value for your team. And then we've got Chelsea as well, who everyone knows have got a great one. Everyone's already got the likes of Cole Palmer, but trying to add maybe one or even two more alongside Palmer to really try and capitalize on those Chelsea fixtures. Even look at the likes of Man City and Liverpool. I don't think they're particularly great fixtures for those teams, but they're always good options anyway. That's the reason why I've not put them as either side. And if you still wanted to go for some Liverpool players or some Man City players, or even some Man United players, like I'm obviously a Man United fan, like I'm always going to try and push the agenda as much as possible. If you want to go play for players from those teams, like feel free. I'm still going to include players from those teams in this wildcard draft. But I think there's almost better value with the teams that have got stars next to the names, and then just Wolves as well. Obviously not great defensively, but they have got a couple of good attacking options, and we'll have a look at a couple of those there as well. So there's some of the teams I kind of wanted to look at and kind of focus on. Just try and look at the kind of medium to long-term fixtures for every single team, and have a look through this list to see if anything does kind of jump out at you. But I think besides those four teams that I think you should target, leave a comment down below if you think I've missed anybody out. Let's take a look at the wildcard draft for game week 12. Before we get started with the wildcard draft team, this team is worth 101.1 million. I know it's a little bit high, but I feel like we're a few weeks into the season now, and you should have built up some team value. There are a couple of players that I think you could save some money on, and I'll kind of talk through those as we kind of discuss them. I've got some other potential goalkeepers and defenders at the bottom, just running along on the ticker down below. I think they're all great options, so feel free to include any of those and replace any of the players in the team. I have gone for Bruggen in goal. I think Brighton have got great long-term fixtures. He's only 4.5 million. I don't really like going for premium goalkeepers, and I have gone for Fabianski as the sub goalkeeper, like I mentioned before about West Ham. Don't have great fixtures, and I don't have a lot of faith in the team, but he's a 4 million goalkeeper who's potentially going to play, and that just kind of tipped it for me. But Bruggen, Brighton are looking decent. He's only 4.5 million, which I really like. He's only 1.9% owned as well. I think Brighton have potential to keep clean sheets in this run, and that's one of the reasons why I've gone for him as well. I have got his teammate Kadioglu on the bench. I absolutely love this guy. I think he's a great player. Kind of plays everywhere. He's been playing right mid and right wing in the past couple of games. 4.5 million defender, 0.4% owned. Also on the bench, I've got Vandenberg. from Brentford, and he's just a 4 million and playing defender, and that's the only reason why I've gone for him, really. I've also got Semenyo on the bench as well, and you'll see my midfield and my attack as to the reason why he is on the bench. But he's a 5.6 million midfielder, 9.1% owned. Onto the defence, I've gone for a little cheeky punt on Reece James, and it feels like a transfer waiting to happen, but I just love the Chelsea fixtures. I love Reece James, and if we can get anything close to the Reece James that we had from a couple of years ago before he had all the injuries, I think you're just going to be absolutely flying. 4.9 million Chelsea defender, 0.6% owned, and just look at the fixtures. Leicester away, Aston Villa at home, Southampton away, Spurs away. Yeah, tough game, but he might not even play there. Like, he might get rested, and then Brentford at home after that as well. He's definitely playing within himself. He's not that kind of bombarding, marauding right back like we've seen in the past. He's definitely kind of is kind of like reserving himself and keeping himself back. But I think if he can put a string of fixtures together and I can run a game, I think he might get back to his best. And I think for 4.9 million, I just think he's worth the punt. He could be on a lot of set pieces, could even potentially be on penalties. Like we don't know these things. It's probably going to be Cole Palmer, but you just never know if Cole Palmer's not on the pitch. It might go to someone like Reece James. I have gone for Gabriel in defence as well. I think you need a part of the Arsenal defence, and Gabriel just offers the most attacking threat, and that's the reason why I've gone for him. He has got Forest in game week 12, and it's a tough game on paper, but I think Arsenal need to start improving defensively, and that could start at home to Nottingham Forest in game week 12. West Ham away after that, Man United at home, Fulham away, and Everton away. They've got a couple of good games after that as well. I think Arsenal are going to be good long-term holds, and even though they've not performed particularly well defensively recently, I think that will improve over the next couple of weeks, and they will start picking up clean sheets once again. I've also gone for another attacking fullback in 8 Nora, 4.7 million, 11.5% owned Wolves defender. And the main downside to 8 Nora is the fact that he's on 4 yellow cards, and that's the reason why I've got 2 playing defenders on the bench in Kadioglu and Vandenberg, who could easily come in for 8 Nora when he does eventually get that 5th yellow card and get suspended. Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, West Ham away, and Ipswich at home. Really, really attacking. Not great defensively. They're not going to keep a lot of clean sheets. They might keep 1 in this 5-game spell, but I can see maybe getting 2 or 3 attacking returns in there as well. And for 4.7 million, I think it's just great value for that. Not a lot of teams are keeping clean sheets, so I've really tried to look at attacking threat from a lot of players. I think you could replace a few of these with the likes of Diogo Dalot from Man United. You could even look at Lewis Hall, who's a 4.3 million defender for Newcastle. If you wanted to go premium in goal, I think there's only really David Raya that I like. If you still wanted some Chelsea coverage and you didn't want Reece James coming down to like a Colwill, I don't mind that as well. Or if you think Gusto's going to play more on the left as opposed to anything else, really don't mind that there as well. But overall, I think this would make a really solid long-term goalkeeping defence with really good backup on the bench there as well. Let's take a look at the midfield. Moving on to the midfield, and first up we've got Bukayo Saka. Really nice fixture for Saka. He's going to keep ticking along because this is just what Saka does. Nottingham Forest at home, West Ham away, Man United at home, Fulham away, Everton at home. 10.1 million Arsenal midfielder, 25.5% owned. Odegaard looks like he's going to be back soon. I think once he comes back, he's going to make Saka a much better option. Saka's playing quite far wide. He's got a really creative kind of role about him. And I think once he does eventually start coming back in, Odegaard, that would free up Saka to start going and start doing Saka things. So I think he's a great option, and I think he's going to play really well moving forward. Moving on to Mohamed Salah. Southampton at home in game week 12 is just a prime fixture, and one of the reasons why I think you just need him for this one. Even Man City at home and Newcastle away after that, I think Salah's so good and so attacking, and he just looks so efficient and so sharp this season that I think you can play him in any single game. He's just an absolute monster. 12.8 million, 45.5% owned. We all know what Salah can and does do on a regular basis. There's no point in talking about him any more than that. I still think Mbeumo offers a lot of value, even though a lot of his good fixtures have gone. And we've still got Everton away, Leicester at home, Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home, and Chelsea away. I think those last 3 games, Villa, Newcastle, and Chelsea, I think Mbeumo, the way he's playing and the way Brentford are playing, they're a little bit more open, they're a little bit more attacking than they've been in the previous years, and he could easily return in these games. He's only 7.9 million, and it doesn't feel like you're kind of losing too much because he's not particularly like a premium player. Like he's not like your Haaland or your Salah, where if those guys blanks, it feels like a big hit. He's owned by 42.2%, which is huge. I still think he offers great value moving forward, and he can return in any single game. So for me, as of right now, like, he is still a solid hold. Cole Palmer, 11 million, is like, his price just keeps going up and up and up, and his ownership's 54.7%, and I think that will increase over this great run of Chelsea fixtures, where they've got Leicester at home, Aston Villa away, Southampton away, Spurs away, and Brentford at home. We all know what he does. Like, same as Salah. Like I feel like he's going to be like the new Salah in a couple of years, where he's just going to be an absolute attacking machine. But if you don't like any of these options, I have got some alternatives down below. Like, if you wanted like a different premium midfielder, having a look at someone like a Heung-min Son, like I don't mind that at all. Like, they've got decent fixtures, and I think from an attacking point of view, especially, you could even go for someone like a Brennan Johnson as well. I could really like their kind of attacking dynamic. And they're still not great defensively, but I think from an attacking point of view, like, they're still really good. Bruno Fernandes from Man United, I think things might they might finally start clicking under the new manager, and if they do, for 8.2 million, I just think it's a great pickup. If you want to come right down and save some money, still don't mind Morgan Rogers at all, or something like that. Like, if you want to take a punt on a Brighton midfielder, someone like a Matoma or Ruta at 5.5 million, like, I don't mind something like that as well. I think Captaincy Gordon's going massively under the radar for Newcastle at 7.2 million. Everyone's looking at Isak, but everyone's kind of forgetting about Anthony Gordon, and we all know how good he was last season as well. But I think this would set you up pretty solid long term in terms of midfield, and offers a lot of value and hold potential, but also it covers you pretty much for captaincy for the next 8 to 10 game weeks. And we'll take a look at captains later on in the video. But for now, let's move on to the forwards. Moving on to the forwards, and first up, we've got Danny Welbeck. I know it's a little bit of a punt, but for 5.9 million and the great fixture that Brighton have got, and he's only 20.5% owned, Welbeck's just been an absolute machine. And like I've said it a couple of times in recent history, where I just think I was wrong with Danny Welbeck. I've got the perception in my head that Danny Welbeck's this really wasteful striker, and he's not worth the money. But I think you do need to start considering him. I think he's been consistent now for the first 10-11 game weeks, and if he continues that form in for this one with the likes of Southampton, Leicester and Palace, where he could easily score in those games as well. I think the only issue with Welbeck is probably his minutes, and with the likes of João Pedro coming back and Ruta playing well, that we don't know how secure his minutes are. I think it will reduce slightly. I could probably start playing between 70 and 75. And if João Pedro's fit, and he's going to be playing at 5.4 million, I love João Pedro for as a pick. Probably on penalties as well. And if we do get confirmation that João Pedro is going to be fit, I would put João Pedro ahead of Welbeck. But I wouldn't mind if someone preferred going for Welbeck as opposed to Pedro. But that's just down to personal preference more than anything else. I have put Isak in this team, 8.3 million forward for Newcastle, 14.6% owned. Like, his ownership was around 40-50% at the beginning of the season, which has obviously dropped all the way down due to injuries and a lack of form. It was a really nice goal that he scored against Arsenal. Great whipped-in ball from Anthony Gordon, and he just absolute power header. And that's what you love to see. Newcastle have got some decent fixtures coming up. They have got a couple of tough games in there, but with the likes of West Ham and Palace in the next two, and followed by Liverpool at home, Newcastle is still a great home side, and they can score in any home game. So I wouldn't even mind that from an attacking point of view for a Newcastle player. Brentford away and Leicester at home after that, I think, is a good long-term option if you are looking for a forward around that price range. If you couldn't quite afford that, I still don't mind like a Nicholas Jackson at 7.9 million for Chelsea, or even Solanke long term, and that's probably a bit reactionary for what he did last week, where he got his brace and he got that 16-pointer. So, but like, he's only Spurs forward for 7.7 million, so I still don't mind that as well. Or if you just wanted to stick with the reliable Chris Wood, who's just doing Chris Wood things, or even the Brentford forward Whistle, like, I don't mind any of these options. Or if you really fancy taking a chance on one of my boys and going for Rasmus Højlund, the only issue with that, he is probably going to be a minutes risk with the likes of Xerxes, and we don't know what kind of formation Amarin's going to play or what personnel he's going to use. So that one feels a little bit risky, but if we can get Højlund playing like Gyökeres for Sporting, like, I know it probably seems a little bit crazy, but if we can kind of get him playing even similar to that, and he can start scoring goals on a regular basis, 6.9 million, just keep him on your radar because he could explode really quick. The last forward I've got is Matheus Cunha, 6.7 million, 7.5% owned. We spoke about 8-0 before with that great fixture one, and it applies perfectly to Cunha as well. He still ticks along in the beginning weeks of the season when Wolves had a really tough run, and now and we can start to profit from this really nice fixture run. He's probably going to start every single game. He's on penalties. He's not particularly an out-and-out striker. He's kind of like a 9.5, a 10, where he kind of floats in behind. Really creative, really good forward player. With Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, West Ham away, and Ipswich at home in the next 5. I think he will get returns in this run, and I think if you don't own him, you just need to keep him on your radar. Like, if you wanted to come down to a different Wolves forward and go for like a Larson instead, I don't really mind that. I personally prefer going for the talismanic players and looking at Acuna instead. So you'll notice in that wildcard draft, I didn't include Haaland, and it mainly comes down to the fact that I think he can cover his captaincy for the likes of Salah and Palmer over the next few games. And I've got game week 12 to game week 18 here, and who I think is the best captain for those. I think Haaland could be the captain, the best captain in a couple of these fixtures. But I think having the likes of Salah in game week 12 versus Southampton away, I think that's a great captaincy option for game week 12. In game week 13, Palmer versus Leicester at home, that's a really nice fixture. Game week 14, Palmer versus Southampton away, another great fixture. Game week 15, Salah versus Everton away, great fixture once again. Game week 16, Salah versus Fulham at home. Game week 17, Palmer versus Everton away, and game week 18, Salah versus Leicester at home. I think the fact that you can cover captaincy with the likes of Salah and Palmer, you probably don't even need Saka as well. I just think Saka's such a consistent, reliable player that that's the reason why I put him in the team. So this is the main reason why I haven't gone for Haaland, because I just think captaincy can be covered. If you did want to go for Haaland, I don't mind, but just kind of keep captaincy in mind for the longer term. And I think this offers the best value and the highest point potential over the next few game weeks. If you disagree with anything, leave a comment down below. Right, mates, that's it for today's video. So today we looked at a wildcard draft team for game week 12. We tried to analyse some fixtures, try to see where the fixture turns are, and who's got a nice run of games, who's got a bad run of games, who to kind of look at and who to avoid. Then we went through a player-by-player team selection, a wildcard draft for game week 12, looking at different kind of options at every single position and where you can actually get some kind of gains and get some value for those positions. And then finally we looked at captaincy for game week 12 and game week 18, and the main reason why I haven't included Haaland in that wildcard draft team, just because of the fact I don't think you need him, and I think if you're not going to captain a 15.3 million player, then what's the point in having him? You know what I'm saying? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and leave a comment down below. Have a good day, good luck, peace and love.